All right, all right. This is going to be the Legally Blind Journal number 57. And, interesting week. Depending on when this gets posted out, depending on when the timing is in the world, but it's currently 2025, and we are in the middle of July 4th weekend, and so I decided to take it easy this weekend and test out the theory again. I'm trying not to use my eyes to read really at all if I can help it. I'm not using really, just bottom line, just not read. And so far I've been able to avoid the migraines. In fact, yesterday was a Saturday, and I had a normal baby headache, probably dehydration type headache, and took a little ibuprofen, the recommended dose, and was fine all day. As long as I don't try and push to read, it doesn't trigger out these massive debilitating migraines. Obviously, or at least I think, what do I know? I'm not a doctor or anything, but if they're triggered by the push of the reading, I can't imagine there being a physical ailment beyond being blind that's causing that. So it is what it is on that, I guess. So from a quality of life perspective, the reading pushing me into migraines every day is that's tough. So I got to work through that. But that said, it's been interesting. We have the farm set up out here, and have gravel drive, which we did that mainly because huge amount of mud and stuff, but also that way I got a really strong contrast when I'm going to the mailbox and coming back, between the woods and the drive and whatnot. And also, if there was any snakes or obstructions in the drive, pretty easy for me to pick out. And yesterday, definitely put that to the test. It was actually the second snake on the property in 24 hours. But I was coming back from the mailbox, and there was a stick in the driveway, but kind of shaped like a little bit of an S, multiple S's. And so anytime I see an obstruction that is shaped like that, I pull out my phone and use the magnifier. And up to now, every single time it has been a stick. This time it was not. It was an actual copperhead, pretty venomous snake. So that one had to be disposed of. But had that been just, on the ground in the woods, would I have picked it out? Probably not. It would have been a stick, maybe. And I say maybe because brown on brown is really hard for me. Any kind of color with no contrast like that's really, really hard. So that's part of why, as we work these nature trails and build those out, it's just so important that I make sure that I keep those down to sand. I don't have them graveled. That'd take a lot of money. Plus, trying to maintain the gravel would be challenging. It's not impossible, but it would cost a lot of money to gravel all the nature trails. So, next best thing is keep them to sand. There's not a snake around here that looks like sand. So, and it makes it easy for me to pick out an obstruction on the path. Just same thing as the gravel. So, it's super important that I keep the maintenance on those trails to where I can tell if there's an obstruction and identify that threat more than ever. It also makes me kind of concerned about if when we go to like a state park and go walk in, those trails are not maintained down to sand, generally speaking. So I really need to make sure I'm really relying heavily on my wife's eyesight when we go to those places to pick out the potentials. And then speaking of eyesight, I checked everything this morning. Technically, the peripheral is the same, and the reading vision is somewhere in between 9 and 11, depending. The tricky part is, though, I don't know if it's an indication of change or what, but, started to notice that it's, as I'm trying to bring that large word into focus or number, it's got a lot of blurriness in and out, and it's taken longer and longer to pick it up, even at that distance. So I don't know if that's an indication it's, in the middle of dropping some or not, because if I go in closer, 8 inches, 7 inches, somewhere in there, it doesn't make it better. If I pull back, it doesn't make it better. I got to be at that 9 to 11 inch range and just work until I can get it. And I wasn't having to do that before, so that's kind of new. Not fun, but it is what it is. And beyond that, the biggest thing I would say is, if you're dealing with this, you got to keep working through, keep figuring out what's best for you personally, what's best for your health, and keep making adjustments. Like for instance, for me, the counselors are concerned about, do you have brain tumors and all this, and I've had scans and everything previously, and they're talking about wanting to do it again because I'm having so many migraine days. Well, guess what? We got a long weekend. We're resting my eyes. I'm not trying to read anything. I'm not going through any grocery stores or Lowe's or places like that. Nothing against the big blue box store. It's not them, but just any store like that. I've avoided all that. So I've avoided the things that strain my eyes. I'm not sitting here just with my eyes closed by any means. Been playing Grounded, which is a video game that requires zero reading. Obviously, the screens are really up close to my face. Maybe I'm getting a suntan. Who knows? And doing the farm chores, but nothing that stresses them. No reading, no stores, no high focus items. And I'm getting through this long weekend with no migraines. In fact, I don't even have a headache at all this morning. Yesterday morning, I woke up with that light headache, nothing major. Ibuprofen knocked it out, and I stayed fine all day long. It's been a while since I haven't had migraines for several days. So because of the holiday, we're Friday, Saturday, and now this is Sunday when I'm making this video. And, I don't have anything headache-wise, no migraines, no nothing. And so, quite frankly, it's not, there's no, I would argue they even if they want to scan me again, they're not going to find any tumors or any of that. It's simply trying to push my eyes beyond what they're rated for nowadays, is what's causing those. So I got to work through that, figure that out. But it's been nice this weekend from a quality of life perspective, not to be in just agonizing, excruciating pain. I'm not going to lie. So that is what it is. I'm not going to whine about it. Beyond that, everything else is going pretty good. Just working on trying to raise the chickens up. Had our first rat snake experience in the coop. That was an interesting one, blind. I've not had to deal with that because you don't want to kill a rat snake. I mean, you can, but I try not to because they get rid of a lot of the pests, literally rats and different species of things I don't really want running around property anyway. And they'll actually eat other snakes sometimes. So, I had to get that thing out of the coop without killing it, but also without being able to really discern where the head and where the tail was, which end was which. That was a new one on me. Had to think through that and develop different methods than I would have done in the past. But it got done, and, no snakes or people were harmed in the making of that one. Now, the copperhead was a whole different story. We ain't keeping venomous around, but the big old fat, freaking 5 to 6 foot long rat snake, he's gone off to live his best life somewhere in the woods. So everything else is doing okay. We're just trucking along trying to figure it out. And, once I figure out this migraine situation, we'll be much better off. I've got to find a way to be able to work my job and not have just debilitating migraines every bloody day. And so far, the breaks help, but they don't fix it. I still get them every day. The breaks just kind of get it to where I can get to the end of a work day normally, but I still have to live with it after the work day, and until I go to bed. So I got to figure that one out. I don't know what else to try yet. If somebody's got any good ideas, man, throw them in the comments. Heck, I'm not above anything. If it's sitting in meditation and going every little bit, whatever it is, if it works for you, I'll try it. But at any rate, that's all I got today. Y'all be good. Peace.